Welcome to my channel. Today we are doing Herpes Anonymous. I feel trapped in my marriage, and I have special guest, Essence, the sex enthusiast, is here with us. Hi, thank you so much for doing
Hi.
this with me. Please let everybody know who you are.
Hi, I'm Essence. I am a self-proclaimed sex enthusiast. I'm also a herpes advocate. I've had herpes since November of 2020. I was diagnosed. And I'm just on the internet living my life and sharing my experience and hoping that people want to join me on my journey.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So, are you ready for today's story?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Okay, all right. So I had asked everyone in the community to email me their anonymous people who want to share their story but don't feel
Mhm.
comfortable, putting themselves out there or letting the world know that it's their story. Send
Mhm.
me their stories through email anonymously. And the story we got today is called Trapped in My Marriage. You ready?
Ooh, okay, let's get into this one.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I
Shoot, I
would
got my
say,
tea.
yep. So I was diagnosed with herpes around late 2006, early 2007. My first outbreak was on my butt. At the time, I was sleeping around a lot, and I had only met the guy I caught it from about a week before we had sex. He wore a condom, but I still caught it. Soon after, the guy gave me another STD. So I decided to cut things off. A few months later, I met my husband. I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and ashamed. I told my hubby a day after we had sex, and he still stayed. We've been married for 11 years, together for 14 years, and have two kids. Sometimes I feel trapped in my marriage because of herpes. When I first married my husband, I fell in love because he still accepted me with HSV, but he also had genital warts, which is HPV.
Mhm.
He knew before we met, but we never got tested. I feel so stuck in my marriage. Thank you for everything that you do. However, I'm not confident enough to tell the world. Only my mom, sisters, and aunt know.
Oh.
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that was a lot. She started with a whole bunch.
It's a whole lot to unpack here. So let's just go with the first little snippet.
Mhm.
At the time, I was sleeping around a lot. I've only met the guy I caught it from about a week before we had sex. He wore a condom, still caught it. Soon after, the guy gave me another STD, so I decided to cut things off.
No, she
Would
should
you,
have cut it off, but we're not going to talk about that.
would you have stayed?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay,
No.
but I feel like some women do stay because they're like, all right, I have this thing that I can't get rid of. I might as well stay in this
Mm.
relationship, even though they're like upset maybe that the person gave them herpes. Sometimes people feel stuck that way. I know she says trapped in my marriage, but some people feel trapped in relationships because
Right.
of the other person having herpes just like them, and they
Mm.
don't think anyone else is going to want them outside of that. What advice do you have for the female who might be in that predicament?
I had something similar to that of an experience like that when I was first diagnosed. I went through the whole thing of like, oh, ain't nobody gonna want me. I even at the time I was diagnosed, me and my son's father weren't even together anymore, and I was like crying all over that man, like, oh, ain't nobody gonna love me no more. And I wish that I had could go back in time and like smack this black off myself, like, girl, get it together. That ain't that at all. And I feel like with social media and just our generation in general not getting proper sexual education, we are forced into this box of believing all of these stigmas and stereotypes about people with STIs. And it makes the world seem very gloomy. It makes it seem like you don't have a choice in dealing with that. And you end up enduring a lot more than just being in a not so great relationship with somebody who has an STI. You can endure abuse, like verbal abuse or physical abuse and stuff like that, financial abuse and all types of stuff. So I feel for her because I completely understand what it's like to, feel like I need to hold on to this because I don't know if I'm ever going to have this experience again or if anybody's ever going to love me again. But I think that's when the work comes in and when you got to love yourself enough to know that I deserve better than this.
Yeah.
And one STD is enough. But this man gave her two. Oh, we got to fight about that one. We got to go outside about that, sir. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would have left well before then, but I am glad that she did leave.
I know.
It's
After the second one, she was like, okay.
like that's enough.
First time, all right. Second time, I'm not doing this a third time. So shout out to her for even getting out of that situation after the second time.
Right. Sometimes it takes people longer to learn the lesson, but the point is that she learned the lesson. So we clap for that because she deserves that.
That part, most definitely. Okay. So she was like, let's see, a few months later, I met my husband. I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and ashamed. I told my hubby a day after we had sex, and he still stayed. Stop there. People who I feel like disclose before the sex part, first of
Yes,
all, just throw that out there.
that.
Right? But I always like admire people who have the bravery to disclose after the fact. Because there has been a time in my past that I didn't disclose.